Going to you in 3, 2, 1. You're live.
What's up, everybody? It is your boy gootecks. Welcome to the Untitled Esports Show. I am joined today by my two favorite esports veterans. We got Zorine and Slasher coming to you live from various parts of the country. And this is the show where we talk about everything that you need to know that's going on in esports. Guys, how's it going? All right, going great. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slasher opened his mouth, and I was like, all right, he's going to make a sound now. And nothing came out.
It's all you, Zorine. It's all you. All you.
I'm freaking fantastic. It's a great day to be in esports, the electronic of sports, yet again. We have so much to talk about. I'm excited.
One of us is having a good day.
With my favorite esports consultant.
Oh,
and hi, Slasher.
Hi, Slasher. How are you feeling? Well rested? How you doing?
I don't want to talk about it now. I don't want to talk about it.
Why? You talk about everybody else's bullshit.
I think that Ryan could compete with me in terms of consulting in esports is not funny, Zorine. Not funny.
Hey, man. You know, this is, you can ask plenty of different world champions about what it's like to get complacent once they've reached a certain level of success. So don't get too comfortable with that number one spot, Rod, because, number 69 is hot on the trail.
gootecks 69.
I like it. That's his.
That's what your new name should be.
gootecks 69. Not Pog, not Poggers, not Pog Chump, but gootecks 69.
Right. That's right.
I mean, we had a further discussion because last week I was saying how I was asking you. I wonder if people are like screaming PogChamp once they are.
Oh my God! Please.
When two people are in love, you know. I want to know if they're screaming PogChamp. So this is actually probably a good way to move into that field. Right. PogChamp 69. I think would be very appropriate for the situation.
Okay.
You know there are like nerds out there that are like screaming PogChamp, Poggers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, I love it when you talk Twitch to me. There is the surest way to get out of an uncomfortable situation.
There's a whole new young culture that probably is into talking Twitch dirty to each other.
Well, hey, every generation thinks that the following generation is just completely off their rockers. So why would this generation be any different? But we got a lot of stuff to talk about, specifically with, we're talking about future generations. There are a couple of topics that definitely require future generations. Breaking news, I guess, right now, not too long ago, today, just a couple hours ago while Rod was asleep. The first woman was drafted into the NBA 2K League to the Warriors. Wow. What a historic moment, I guess. If I put my WWE hat on for a moment, this is the first time in history that a woman has been drafted to the NBA 2K League. It only took an entire season.
Yeah, I mean, there are other esports that have been going on for much longer that have yet to have a woman compete in the league. So, kudos to her. I believe her handle, if I could bring it up again quickly, is Chiquite. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that very, very terribly.
I also do not know how to pronounce her gamer tag.
Okay.
Chiquite 126.
Chiquite 126. Okay.
No, sorry. You know what it is?
What?
Well, if you just mouse over, her name is Chiquita, but the E must stand for excellent basketball player.
It's very wholesome. It's very wholesome of you, right? So she got drafted by the Warriors. So as in like the Golden State Warriors NBA 2K team, which is called Warriors Gaming Squad, if I am remembering correctly. And they also have a League of Legends team as well called Golden Guardians. So they have two teams in esports, one in NBA 2K and the other in League of Legends. But that's awesome. First woman to get drafted. How does that make you all feel? Is it surprising?
I don't know the NBA 2K competitive community like well enough to know if this is a surprising choice or not. I really don't know the pro community too well, so I don't really know her and how she stacks up against all the other players. But I'm going to assume, and I'm going to hope here, Zorine, that like after season 1, this was a main discussion point, which is why this is
lack of women.
The main topic that I wanted to ask you about. Yes, the fact that there was no women drafted into the first season of the NBA 2K League became a discussion point for several people. It was also mentioned specifically by the commissioner, Adam Silver, who is the commissioner of the NBA and the NBA 2K League, of how he would like women to be in the NBA 2K League. So, saying all this, I'm going to hope that this move, knowing that me and Zorine, the person running Warriors Gaming, I'm not sure if this includes NBA 2K, is our good friend Hunter, who we worked with.
He was my former boss at Yahoo Esports.
He was, and he was my colleague at GameSpot. And yours as well too. So you know him very well.
I do.
I have to wonder, and I don't know, did he do this, or did the people that were drafting do this because she is deserving, and that's how it should be. She was picked because she is definitely skillful, or was this done in a later round in the draft to get brownie points and to draft a woman because of the discussion around it?
Well, I can't speak much to the drafting process, but she was drafted 56th overall. So does that mean they picked her later on into the process? Is that what that means?
I'm looking at the photo on her Twitter, and it says pick 56 round 4. So, I mean, I'm imagining
round
that.
4.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many rounds they did, but they probably did a lot of rounds. So
probably 6 or 7 rounds in total.
Yeah.
It's not like solely. It's not the final round that they could have drafted her. It is like in the middle of the draft where it is a legitimate pick to do. You don't want to waste a pick on a random person then. So I'm going to believe, as someone who does not know the competitive scene, that this was strictly done out of her being a professional player, and that she is picked for her skills, and she also is a woman, and that is why it happened. And it was not done because of all the meta discussion around there not being women in the NBA 2K League and or in esports, and someone that we know like Hunter, who I admittedly do think he would do something like this. I kind of do feel
like what? To have somebody picked for PR reasons?
Kind of, yes. He as someone who has worked with him, this does seem like something that he would jump on, honestly. I don't know if he has any like ruling of getting the pick. I have no idea if he's involved at all.
Well, and this is something that could really lead into like a wider discussion, but players, when an organization picks a player up, it's not just about how good they are. It's also important to know how marketable they are, and whether you can use them to sign more sponsors or do like activations, do other very important things that aren't just centered around competing. So that being that what it is, I think it's still legitimate to pick up a certain player. Maybe you could say the same for the male players who are like, already established streamers or content, creators who are in the NBA 2K League. Maybe that, that also works in their favor as well. So we don't know. Ultimately, I mean, none of us can speak for the not Golden State Warriors, the Warriors gaming squad, but definitely, I think she's the only woman, right, in the league that's been drafted.
I believe so.
Definitely shines like a spotlight on her and her team, whether she wants it to be there or not.
Yeah, I think you guys are pretty right on. I mean, this seems, if it's something that like I whatever. The real question I guess is like, why do we not follow NBA 2K League? Like, why does the world, I'm not putting you on blast, Rod, but like, why is the world's #1 esports consultant not following
I am
2K?
Following the league. I don't know really the players though. I don't know the scene.
That's what I mean. Why is
blast? Oh, okay.
No. I mean, I'm not. If I were putting you on blast, I would make an accusation. But I'm just.
Have you watched NBA 2K the video game? Lately?
You mean like have I watched the game itself?
Not like at all, but have you watched like any of the NBA 2K League? Are you interested in watching the NBA 2K League?
No. Why?
Are you at all interested? Zorine, are you interested?
I actually, I'll let you talk and then I'll put myself on blast.
So I used to. Well.
No.
Apparently, this is
really.
Apparently, aside from Dota, NBA 2K is the biggest esport in the Philippines. Wow.
League of Legends. Fighting games. I
actually used to play the old NBA games, and I really, really liked them. But I don't watch any of NBA 2K like esports at all. No, admittedly.
Well, I'm not super knowledgeable about like the competitive Madden scene either, or even as much as
you watch like NBA basketball, don't you?
Yeah,
you actually watch a lot of NBA basketball.
I do. Besides the Knicks being fucking awful, so that makes it kind of hard to have.
This just be more basketball that you like to just have more.
Yeah, the Knicks video game team won a championship before the actual fucking Knicks did. So yeah, the video game team of the Knicks, as we talked about this last week, is better than the actual basketball team of the Knicks. Now, saying that, I still don't have like a super high interest in watching the NBA 2K esports, just because I've never found the sports games as compelling as non-sports games to watch in an esports setting. As much as I might have played them as a kid or like FIFA, I think that's probably the most popular of all of these sports games and probably my favorite. I played NBA games as a kid a ton, but I'm still not so enticed about tuning in. And I think that's definitely one of the largest problems for the league so far. Viewership has been pretty terrible in general.
How terrible are we? Define terrible.
Like 1,002 people for each broadcast, official broadcast.
Do you think that we need to find a way to put them in touch with the Red Bull or the Red Bull viewbotting team?
Yes, yes, they do.
Do they need some help in that department?
They
boost
do.
The numbers.
They need to get on the Twitch video embed train. They need to do as many embedding as they can for that league.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I personally, I mean, I don't care about ball sports anymore. I used to when I was younger, but I just don't see the appeal of, the sports games as esports titles. Obviously, it doesn't interest me personally, and just because I don't care doesn't mean that it's not legitimate. But I think that the NBA is really taking the E in esports quite literally. It seems like this entire experiment, which props to them for giving it another go, but holy fuck, this must be such an immense investment for such little upside, it seems like. I mean, I can see long term why big professional ball sports teams want to get involved in esports. I totally get it. You know, if you have one of these franchises that you know, is looking at esports as like, okay, this is what's coming down the pipe. I totally get that. And it seems like this NBA 2K League is like phase 1, but you know, phase 2 or phase 3 is going to focus, you know, more on like the other esports titles. And maybe this is just sort of a way to sort of build a bridge between the existing team fans that like, you know, the Warriors, for example, and sort of transition them, use NBA 2K as a way to transition them so that maybe one day they'll care about the other games. I just don't think that is going to be, I mean, that's just going to take forever, or it's never going to happen, because I just think that the audiences are just wildly different.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Still,
But
though,
hey.
good moment for the league. It's still a good thing the NBA is pushing the esports league so hard. In general, I think they're definitely the most ahead of the curve in terms of esports. The NBA has the most amount of owners that are invested into the traditional esports.
Well, they had to, didn't they?
Well, no, but like the individual owners in the NBA have the most outside investment outside of the NBA 2K League into like real esports teams of any of the sports leagues. In terms of investors from ownership, it's the NBA. So the NBA is definitely the most ahead of the curve in terms of their coming together with the competitive esports scene. Probably FIFA is second. And FIFA is definitely the most watched sports game. It's the most watched sports game, esports. It's also been around the longest in terms of a competitive scene. So FIFA is definitely way out there. Like even the FIFA finals almost got 100K on Twitch. FIFA actually has a pretty significant scene. The NBA 2K is not even close to that. It has a lot of work to do to reach up to FIFA to get those type of numbers, at least for the streams.
Yeah. All right. Well, Slasher cautiously optimistic on NBA 2K League. Me and Zorine maybe not as convinced. But hey, congratulations to Chiquita E126 for being the first woman drafted. Good luck. Moving on. There is another esports team that is making moves that has arguably deeper pockets than any other esports organization on the planet. For whatever reason, these guys' pockets seem to be lined with the gold. I mean, probably the gold in the blood of, you know, previous encounters and battles. I'm talking about, yes, of course, the U.S. military. The U.S. military, this is not exactly it's not super new, but for whatever reason, it came down the pipe and it seemed to be important. Military.com is reporting thousands of soldiers sign up to game on the Army esports team. And what caught my attention was the photo. When I clicked on the article, and FGC veteran commentator James Chen is sitting there on the mic talking about.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he I was like hanging out with him at the time when he was going on that trip, like to go there and commentate their tournament.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, there were a bunch of different events at Army bases, and it didn't exactly get a whole lot of attention, at least in my own personal Twitter echo chamber. But it is a thing, and what I found interesting was that they are using it. The article says, esports team, which will become a part of the new marketing and engagement brigade based in Fort Knox, Kentucky, is a component of the new recruiting strategy the service launched after it missed its annual recruiting goal of 6,500 soldiers, which means that they were supposed to. I don't know what their, what the quota, I don't know how many they were trying to get, but they were, they missed by 6,500 recruits. So now this is part of a marketing and engagement brigade by the U.S. Army to recruit more players, more soldiers into the Army by using esports as a recruitment method. And so they've worked with Capcom and Street Fighter. They have a Twitch channel. The military is coming in to recruit essentially gamers into, the Army, of which, obviously the Army is very active right now. This is not a very clear-cut time of peace by any means.
So I thought the funny thing about this is like they're recruiting pro gamers, but like they also said like, oh, but you also have to be fit enough to be a soldier. So, you have to be physically, healthy and fit. Also, we want gamers who can articulate themselves. And I'm just like, you're asking for a lot of things to tick off, like for your pro team.
Here's the thing. I don't think that they're actually trying to recruit like a pro team. I think they're trying to use esports as a perk. Like, oh, if you join the military, you can play on our sports team. I don't think they're actually trying to poach players from established esports organizations. I think they just want to develop over time a strong esports presence that can compete with other similarly matched organizations. Because, like, for example, in at least, I don't know how it works in basketball, but at least in football, the military teams are essentially usually going up against collegiate teams.
Yeah, they are.
So I would expect, because nobody's really, go protect the country. Nobody's expecting anybody to be on that level, I don't think. But collegiate level seems totally doable based on the ball sports way of doing things. So I think that I think that it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But I think the bigger issue is, I guess this sort of discussion about whether or not it is. I guess it doesn't really matter whether it's appropriate because they're going to do it anyways. But it's interesting to see the growth of esports start to permeate now even military recruiting.
Well, that the U.S. Air Force was present at the Boston Major for Counter-Strike in Boston. And that was like a very big event. They were a sponsor. They were also there like with their booths, like actively, engaging with participants at the event. So one of my favorite things about that article where this is like this whole thing is talked about, I think one of the spokespersons for the U.S. military called it. He said the esports world is widely shared on Twist TV and all of these streaming services. So he clearly doesn't know.
Definitely plugged in. Definitely plugged into the ecosystem here. Although to be fair, it's just a quote from the article, so anybody could have.
Yeah, that's true.
Who knows what he actually said? Maybe somebody else made a typo. Who knows? But I would just like to take this opportunity to remind everybody that if they've ever read the book Ender's Game, this is literally the situation of Ender's Game. Spoiler alert. Sorry. In the book, which takes place in the very distant future, all of these kids are recruited, and they're playing this game. A video game in space, destroying all these planets, and everybody thinks it's a game, but spoiler alert, at the end, it turns out it wasn't a game at all. And they were actually blowing up real people. So I think this is really good news for people who were already inclined to be going the military direction. Certainly there's a lot of FGC that is in the military. I've talked with a lot of people, and they tell me that they play fighting games on the base, and that's good for them. That's awesome. But I think it's personally very scary that the military is actively recruiting. But hey, these guys got the deepest of esports pockets. So Who knows?
Many people probably don't realize or remember, but America's Army was a rather popular FPS game for many years, and that was literally built by the Army for gamers to play. So they've already made a video game that was relatively popular for FPS players to play. They've, as Zorine mentioned, sponsored E-League and the Air Force. I believe they've also had a partnership with Cloud9 at one time as a sponsor of them. And, it makes sense. I mean, if you're not going to have the game itself, which is like make another America's Army, then like just as you mentioned, Ryan, the Army and the Navy both have like pretty kind of famous like teams that play competitively at the collegiate level in football, and I believe in basketball as well. And this just seems like an extension of that, especially considering the biggest games in esports are FPS games and shooting games and military-like shooting games. It fits in directly with the military. I mean, it just really does. Counter-Strike may not be a military game, neither is Call of Duty or Apex Legends, but it sure as fuck has direct relations to even the storylines, the single-player storylines in the game of military, and all of them are used like all the guns, all of like the the utilities and the armor and all that stuff is from the military. So it makes a lot of sense to want to attach themselves, especially to first-person shooters in esports. So it makes sense for me. I do think that video games and esports should be kind of weary of like the larger impact of working with the U.S. military on like a larger scale of what kind of message that sends to everyone. I think it is a little concerning to think about, but I overall don't think it's such a bad thing.
Well, I mean, it's not that much of a stretch, in terms of what they're already doing, but it is at the very least mildly concerning because that's the world that we live in. But hey, war, big business, and that means that I bet you that everything on the esports side, side of things is good. They're going to make this really good for future soldiers. So I think it's actually, it's good for them. But now that it's also part of the marketing and engagement brigade, I think that there's going to be a really big influx.
Yeah, makes sense. Just to quickly swing back to our previous topic about NBA 2K League, I do believe Hunter Lee was actually in the Twitch chat, and he did correct us, saying that the league gets around 10,000 concurrent viewers when it's airing. So, it's decent.
That is not honestly not true. It's definitely 100% not true in terms of 10K on the single individual NBA 2K League stream. I know that because I've watched enough of it. If you want to talk about maybe like the finals of like the playoffs or like during the playoffs, then maybe they got that high. Maybe if you add up every single stream, they even get that high. I know that sounds way off for your average NBA 2K League day. You are not getting 10K, and they're not going to be getting 10K for Season 2 either.
Damn.
So I appreciate the numbers, Hunter. I do not believe them at all, and I will look. I even will do some digging now to make sure that I'm correct.
Ooh. All right.
Esports consultant has been activated.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that.
And I'll keep an eye on the chat. Thank you, chat.
All right. Moving
PogChamp's in the chat. Pogger's in the chat. you got to say that every 15. That's like almost one of the best perks of doing a show with gootecks, Zorine, is that you have to say Poggers or PogChamp in the chat constantly because it gets chat moving. And Ryan, you gotta get on this, okay? You gotta be like, spam my face in the chat more often. Because you are the only person in the world that can do that. Literally the only person in the whole world. And I figure while you're here, I may as well use you know, with great power comes great responsibility, and I feel like.
Why do you think I don't do it?
That's why I do it.
You don't want me. You don't want me to get used to having any sort of power at all. Anyway, I'm not okay. Yeah,
We're
right,
not gonna.
right. Yeah, that's a long story. Anyways, okay, so more fiascos from on the esports. There was. Wait, Rod, can you pull your nose is very there you go. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
See how it is.
there is a new entrant in the esports. New entry into the esports fashion industry. Cranium Apparel announced the other day, quote, "Get ready, female gaming community." Shit, you know what? That's what the FGC stands for. I get it. Get ready, female gaming community. Girl emoji. Esports dress is now available. It's high time that we do something for the female gamers who receive so much backlash in the community. Stay strong. We respect you. Heart proudly supporting #women in esports. Tag every female gamer you know. Nails emoji. And then scrolling down, there was one tweet. I hope I can find. Here it is. Ms. At Shadowfax, Ms. Shadowfax on Twitter says, "Were there any females involved in the design/decision making of this?" Cranium replies, "Unfortunately, no. We're now turning to the community for ideas. This will help us make more informed decisions in the future." Zorine, as the voice of female of women in esports, what are your thoughts?
Well, thank you for calling me the voice of women in esports. I don't think I necessarily represent every woman. But
I just mean like on this show, between me
on this show,
between me and Slasher.
Between the three of us, yeah.
Yeah, between the three of us, yeah.
Okay, look, the concept itself of having like a dress that's designed to look like a gaming jersey, like a dress version of a gaming jersey, essentially. Sure. Okay, fine. That's whatever. Personally, not a fan. I don't want to walk around looking like a DX racer or anything, but some people like that design.
Okay.
But the problem was with the messaging. Like, the way you just acted that out, Ryan, was exactly how I read it in like on Twitter. It was a dude trying to be like being like, "Oh, how do women talk again?" Like, "Oh, what's up, female gamers?" Girl emoji. Like, it was so bad. And the killer thing is that tweet is like the new one that they put up. They actually had one that was like an original one that got so much backlash that it got deleted. So it's now like you can't even find it anymore. I'm sure someone is screwed. This is the revision of the original tweet, I believe, where they actually tried to promote this dress. And it was just, the messaging is just it's whack. It's just like, how do you do, fellow kids? What's up, female gamers? Like, who says that? It's so bad. And then the killer part was like the follow-up. Oh yeah, no women were actually involved in the design or decision-making of this product, by the way. But we think this is what women want.
We have moms, and our girlfriend said it was cool. Fuck. Out of here with this.
I mean, have you looked at the dress itself? It's fucking terrible. No shit, a woman wasn't involved in the making of this fucking thing. Looks like a total disaster. What type of woman would want to wear this? None of them. That's why a man designed it, because it looks fucking stupid. I mean, yeah, I'm all about. Of course, there are famous men's fashion designers that make clothes, and that doesn't necessarily have a direct correlation between the women who are going to be wearing the clothes. But something like this, yeah, it might be a smart idea to talk to a singular woman before making an entire clothing line for women and then marketing it for that.
Very poorly.
So this story, I mean, I've read some other tweets by the CEO of this team too, and he seems like the type of dude that would like write CEO in his IRC handle back in the day.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
This is the type of dude that this guy is.
Look, I mean, great. It's great that you're expanding apparel to include things like dresses. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of gamers out there who appreciate that, who want to wear like a dress that, you know, they feel represents them. But the marketing of the whole thing, like that tweet, that, you know, the tweet itself was just so cringy. Like, it's bad. I'm surprised it's still up there.
I'm not. They got a ton of attention, even though he's such a dumb person that he thinks this is all good. Like any attention, any exposure is good exposure. Yeah. He seems like the type of dude that definitely would go down that type of route. So even though literally everyone on the internet is clowning on him almost all day yesterday, and I saw some pretty funny things, he probably takes this as a good thing, even though literally no one's gonna fucking buy this goddamn jersey, and they look like idiots.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I mean, looking further, I really, it's a good thing that not a lot of people watch the show and we don't have a lot of reach, because I really do not intend to give these guys any additional promotion. However, it is my responsibility to look a little deeper into these things. And it appears as though Cranium Apparel is just the company that is making, that you can use to source your various gamer jersey and now women's dress apparel. Because when I'm looking at it, it looks like you can get all kinds of different design packages, and then you can basically order esports jerseys for your team through this company. So that so basically, like the design of it is not necessarily on Cranium. It's going to be on the, whoever ends up wanting to make one of these, I guess. I guess, to be fair, but.
So you're saying that the dress itself is a blank and that teams can choose to like customize it to their team colors?
That's what the, I mean, if you scroll to the bottom of the site, it says affiliate packages that generate revenue for your organization.
Okay.
Basic, standard, jersey, jacket, and logo designs, socks and iPhone case design. Nothing in here about the dress design, but I'm sure I'm sure they can
give it time.
Yeah, give it time. So all the, oh yeah. In the midst of the here's a good tweet. In the midst of all the chaos caused by our most recent addition to the esports apparel scene, we appreciate each and every one of you giving us feedback on how we can get better. We're striving to be different and unique. This is our first try, hence there were some roadblocks. God, fuck! This shit is so ugly. Okay, look it. Okay, look it. Esports is not going anywhere until it gets a lot bigger. I think we all know that. We think we can all accept that. With that said, the things that people wear up on stage when they are competing are goddamn atrocious. And you said, Rod, you don't need to be a woman to design clothes for women. But somebody system needs to figure out how, like, they are actually worth something and not look super fucking lame, because that's what all this shit looks like. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good this dress looks, because the concept is flawed in the exact same way that all the jersey stuff is flawed. It's just ugly. And I promise you, there are fashion people out there that could probably help and fix it. I'm not one of them. I don't know these people, but I promise you they're out there. And if we could just not be so myopic in thinking about how we can be more like traditional ball sports. Therefore, we need jerseys and all this stuff. If we could just rethink everything, I promise you, we would come up with something that wouldn't be so awful on my eyeballs.
I mean, I might be slightly biased, but I think the esports team UIU actually does a pretty good job in outfitting their players in pretty fashionable stuff. They don't do jerseys at all either, which is great. And it makes sense because their CEO, she was a senior designer from Ralph Lauren. So
thank you. There's progress. Progress.
Oh, you mean the zipper on the dress that zips down from like the front here, so you can, like if you want to like get a little like you want.
Later, and I'm just like, yeah. We did so.
Ryan, you're gonna get us banned off Twitch, Jesus.
Yeah, right. Because it's like I'm gonna go straight for all of the women that are competing on pro esports teams. They're going to get off of stage or come back from an event and then hop on their stream and then just slide that zipper down a little bit. Come on.
Dear God, I gotta say, as someone like when I compete like in a tournament or like whether it be a local or one of the bigger ones like Evo, like I definitely prefer to wear pants. Just saying, like when especially if they're putting me on stream, the last thing I want is to sit down and like spend like a few seconds like adjusting myself for having to worry about what it might look like, if something accidentally, gets like, I don't know, folded wrong or something, right? So it's just like, it just seems so obvious to me. But everyone's different, so.
Hey, different strokes for different folks. If you guys think it, not you guys, but if people out there like the designs, like the way it looks, have at it. Knock yourself out. You'll never see any competition from me in that regard. All right, moving on. That was fun. Sorry, I just had to get that out there. Sorry.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I think that had been building up inside me for a long time. Sorry about that, guys. These get me hella triggered. Okay, let's see. Moving on. CSGO Major hits 1 million concurrents again without the benefit of Chinese viewership. Slasher is reporting, and then includes a screenshot showing quite a lot of people watching. Why is this news?
Huh?
Why is this news?
Yeah, tell us why it's important.
Well, okay, so it was tied into another tweet by Bryce Blum, who is like a lawyer.
Wait. Sorry. Bryce Blum, the dude who said that fighting games don't check all the boxes.
Oh,
yeah. This is why I'm bringing it.
Yes.
This is why.
Sorry.
This is why I'm bringing it up. Okay.
I'm all ears.
There is the news itself of Counter-Strike Go hitting 1 million concurrent viewers isn't necessarily a big deal because it's now happened with every single major from CSGO for the last 2.5 years. And the last time it didn't happen, it missed it by 15,000 and it hit 985,000 concurrent viewers. So maybe that is not news, but I do think in general, there is something to be said about now a 20-year-old game franchise that is still able to get over 1 million concurrent viewers just through Twitch and YouTube, especially in an era where all these big esports developers and esports team leagues all like to tout their viewership, and especially the Chinese viewership of how many people are watching. Counter-Strike is able to do it without that region and is able to hit numbers that no other esport is really able to do at this type of scale. Overwatch League has never hit 1 million viewers on Twitch and YouTube. League of Legends never hits 1 million viewers on Twitch and YouTube. That always comes from other platforms, or it's really only during very specific moments that maybe League of Legends would be the only other game to do so. And Counter-Strike really is special in that way for a few reasons, and I do think its identity in terms of it kind of growing esports in the West and especially in America and in Europe is quite a big deal. Now, some people, including Bryce, extrapolated that information to make other hot takes that are related to the topic. So, like I tweeted also a pretty similar thing, saying CSGO is one of the best games to watch in all of competitive gaming, and there's a reason that is that is the case, and it being so good to watch is one of the reasons that it has led esports to kind of where it is now. Now, Bryce had a similar opinion, except he took it even further to say that CSGO is definitively the best game to watch for a variety of reasons. Now, I personally don't think so, because I still think fighting games are easier if you really break it down. But Counter-Strike is able to really check off a few of the boxes of several different things that have made it so popular today. And it is a reason that it beats out almost every other major esport in terms of viewership in the West and on Twitch. No game has gotten more viewers than Counter-Strike on Twitch, which I think is an important measure to have.
Yeah. And you also mentioned that this number does not include the Chinese audience. Is that right?
Yeah, that is part of like why I think it is a big deal. They hit 1 million concurrents without China. And this is 1 million concurrents without, like, okay, in Fortnite, for example, when they do tournaments, they encourage streamers to rebroadcast the stream live, and that adds up into the total viewership. That does not even happen in Counter-Strike. The total viewership is only through tournament streams, so you add up like English and the French stream and the Russian stream, and they had over 1 million people. I think it is really continually impressive that Counter-Strike, as such an old franchise it is able to still bring in really massive viewership, especially on the Twitch as a platform.
That's crazy. I mean, I think like a couple of things here. Obviously, people were kind of saying that, and I don't know if this was like something that you guys heard too, but people were saying that Counter-Strike was kind of falling off a little bit, I think, in the past year. But this number just proves that, it's still going strong. It's like how old did you say it was, Rod? 18 years? An 18-year-old game?
20 years old. It'll be 20 years old this year.
Wait, Global Offensive?
Well, a 20-year-old franchise.
Counter-Strike will be 20 years old. Global Offensive will be, I believe,
8 years?
7. Yeah.
7. Okay. Which is amazing, and especially since Valve doesn't seem to put as much into the competitive scene as it does for like Dota 2. Like I always hear that Counter-Strike, very much runs off its third-party kind of organizers. So, good on the scene for being able to prop itself up on its own legs, I'd say.
Yeah. Must be nice. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's, I guess part of the reason why it has survived for so long in the modern era is because because it checks all those boxes and it's so easy to watch. So easy that I never freaking watch it.
But there's also some really incredible storylines that happen in Counter-Strike in terms of like, the players and their histories and the things that are happening to them, which is just that some of them are so incredible. So, I think that kind of feeds into it as well. Like you can't make some of the stuff up that has happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, having a near 20-year history of any, of a competition of any kind is going to lead to very, very, very long-lasting rivalries that transcend teams, years, games. I mean, games as in like, releases of the game. So that's something that you can only get with franchises with that level of history. Not to say that, Fortnite or League don't have great rivalries, just that the longer that the game is around, the more that these rivalries can build over time, which is one of the reasons that fighting games have such a passionate community, and one of the reasons why some of these matches are epic, because they carry over from different games. Not that you would know a lot of this stuff from just like watching, because most of this stuff, because obviously esports as a whole has not gotten to the level where these stories are really encapsulated and recapped and summarized quickly, either like WWE video package style or, having some sort of statistics that, the commentators have access to. But that's a different story. So I guess it'll be interesting to see in 15 years if these other games survive and what the viewership growth what the viewership path looks like.
I mean, I do think still fighting games are the easiest games to watch. I am going to make probably a tweet even tomorrow about my ranking of the easiest games and the best games to watch overall. I do still think that fighting games are pound for pound the best games for the casual audience to get into.
But Rod, it doesn't okay, sure, it's easy to watch, but it doesn't have the skill. It doesn't require the strategy of Counter-Strike. So I
gotta say, this is kind of fucking ridiculous. It's like a bunch of guys who come from FPS backgrounds, or a bunch of dudes that are now into esports who really grew up on PC gaming. That, I mean, yeah, they kind of appreciate fighting games and they are kind of in the scene, but they don't really, for some reason. There's a disconnect between they actually think because CSGO is a team game and the way that it works, it has an added level of difficulty that fighting games don't. And that's definitely different and that's definitely not true, especially because we've seen 1v1 games. I grew up in the Quake 1v1 scene. I followed StarCraft 1v1 for a long time. Playing 1v1 is an entire different level of stress than it is playing a 5v5 game. And you could even make arguments that playing a 1v1 game is harder for the individual person than playing a team game where your teammates can bail you out and you can get into situations that make it easier that your team is on there. So yeah, you lose some of the complexity in 1v1 games that you don't get in team games, but I do not think that has any correlation on the deepness of the skill level of the game and how that affects things.
That's I mean, it's like saying that basketball is basketball is strategically more complex or somehow is better than MMA fighting. It's well, it's different, sure, but to say that one is better than the other, that let's say a one-on-one endeavor doesn't require as much strategy as team-based, it's it just doesn't make any sense, and it's actually quite offensive to people. It's amazing. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a good thing. It was one of those situations where I almost got myself into a Twitter war, but I was just you know what?
I wanted that. I really wanted that.
I'm gonna go do something else right now because this is not going to be a productive Twitter conversation. But it was funny. Thank you. See, I'm glad that you see it the same way, Rod, because you're the FPS guy, not me.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's also a little bit different than a lot of people, is that I come from a 1v1 FPS game. Yeah, you play teams in Quake, but the majority of pro competition was 1v1, and I feel 1v1 is just as or even more difficult than a team game in terms of the strategical depth involved.
Well, I mean, you don't have anybody to blame but yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was a tough pill to swallow for people. But you know what? You know why it's such a tough pill to swallow is because fighting games don't have any complexity or depth, So especially hard when I lose and it's just me because I'm well, this shit wasn't even that hard. Why do I suck? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Brian, you totally get it.
Bryce.
Zorine, anything from the chat? Because I'm not looking at all the pod champs in the chat.
Everyone's pretty. There are a couple of people who, and not surprisingly, if you're all cross-counter, followers, that they're agreeing with Ryan. So.
No, I never would have thought that would happen.
But yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, I know Bryce. He's a really great guy. He's actually very nice. I was actually at his place over the weekend. We were just chilling and watching docus. But
was that before or after he made that tweet?
It was after. It did get brought up in conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. We got the inside scoop here.
I mean, it was a group of us. It wasn't just like me and him, but yeah, I was like with a bunch of like Counter-Strike people, and then there was me, the only FGC representative, and I was like, yeah, what you said was dumb. Like, I literally was like, yeah, no, what you said was dumb. And he was like, yeah, I've got like the whole FGC hating me right now. So, like, I think he was aware of the feathers that he had ruffled with his statement. And I don't really know what he expected when you make a statement like that on Twitter. Like, to be honest, like, everyone's gonna like go to war with you, man. It's Twitter. Like, they'll get incited by any old thing. So I don't really know if he has, if he kind of sees the argument from, the FGC side and is like, yeah, I get it. Or if he's like staying staunch in what he truly, like, that he truly believes in what he says.
All right, Zorine. Well, since he's your homie.
He's not my... Yes.
Well, I mean, your homie, I don't just let random people into my house. So, since he's your homie, I'm going to extend an offer.
Uh-huh.
If Bryce has any interest in trying to, let's say, adjust his position.
He did a little bit.
Oh.
And he kind of doubled down, sort of. He did make another tweet, like, explaining his first tweet, which I can try to find.
He doubled down on it?
Well, he walked back a little bit. He walked about a little bit, but he continued on. You can
This kind of reminds me, I feel like the FPS and like FGC have gone head to head with each other like a few times. It was like the time when Sonic Fox won the award and Counter-Strike player Simple came back and was like, he said something along the lines of like working like with a team in a team game is so much more difficult, blah, blah, blah. Like, and I think he was basically salty that he didn't win the, I think it was at the Game Awards. Yeah, it was at the Game Awards, and he was basically salty that he didn't win the Esports Player of the Year award, which was instead awarded to Sonic Fox. Simple is a god of Counter-Strike, don't get me wrong, but his statement was made in such an ignorant way that, and I think he did kind of apologize and backtrack for it later because he didn't realize the extent of Sonic Fox's achievements at the time, but it's just like, man, like...
He's like, okay, Sonic Fox is great, but this is still not as complex.
There's no strategic depth.
Oh, did he? Oh, that makes sense.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, look, all gaming communities are really defensive of their game and their community, and it's not like I'm totally surprised that like other games get upset about, hey, my fucking game didn't do this and this. I mean, you hear it all the time. PUBG gets shit on by Fortnite players. Fortnite gets shit on by Apex Legends players. Overwatch gets shit on by fucking everybody. So, it's the circle of life.
This is why we can't have nice things. Why this shit isn't taken seriously by the outside world. Because it's just silly. Like, I'm not, like, I don't play FPS. I don't play, MOBAs. But that doesn't mean that I don't have respect for the genre and the people that compete in it at the highest level. Team game, solo, it doesn't matter. It's just like, oh, cool. Like, if I were a different person, I'd probably be playing this game instead of fighting games. Like, there's actually very little that separates the games in terms of the type of people it attracts. Obviously. The only difference is preference, but newsflash, all this shit takes a super high level of skill that's developed over a long period of time. And I would, you could say that you have your preferences. Oh, I prefer this game because of X, Y, Z. I prefer this game because of this. But to say that one is better or doesn't have as much depth, it's like, dude, like if you didn't compete at the highest level in both, you really have no room to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just always super surprising to me. All right. Well, I guess offer rescinded, and
just another day in the esports war.
Yeah. Hey, dude. I mean, here's the thing. It's a fucking civil war, right? Because here we are. you know, you don't hear like basketball fans talking about how much football sucks. It's like, who cares? Like, how is that even a discussion? Like, that's not even something that comes up. Oh, my game is better because I'm the one that plays it. Fuck out of here.
Agreed, totally. Totes, bro.
All right, moving on. Here is maybe in 20 years, it's going to be 500 million. Apex Legends, Forbes reports that Apex Legends hits 50 million players in its launch month, far outpacing Fortnite. Wow, what an amazing accomplishment. 50 million players sounds like, I'm pretty sure that's more than the population in California. That's for sure. It's probably that's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's a shit ton of people playing. And probably a lot of that had to do with Fortnite paving the way.
Just like how PUBG paved the way for Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. But they really, despite Rod's best effort to derail their launch and even the world's #1 esports consultant didn't stop.
Hey, it seems like me leaking some information the game existed didn't affect that their game had 50 million people play it. I mean, really, I think it is a huge moment. A game that didn't exist a month ago now has 50 million players in such a short amount of time. That really is incredible. I think that's only something that can happen in video games of any entertainment medium. Maybe, yeah, you could release like the next Game of Thrones killer or whatever. I know like Amazon and Netflix are trying to like make some prequel shows and some other shows about some like Lord of the Rings. Maybe if you just release Lord of the Rings randomly for free online, it'll get like a fuck ton of people. But I really only think that video games has the power to do something like make a game out of nowhere, release it, and then have 50 million people play it in a month. It definitely helps that it is a battle royale game. It helps that it is a competitive FPS game, and that is both of those things are like the hot thing to do right now in terms of Twitch, in terms of like content creation, in terms of like esports in general. So they had the game and the game genre definitely at the perfect place at the right time for Apex Legends to take off. But really, above all, the most important aspect of this is that they made a good game. And not only is the game solid and polished, it's good on release of the game. Not a year later, not 2 years later, on the day the game came out, it is already at a level which it is like very much not just acceptable to everyone, but it is like a great job. Of course, it has things they need to fix and do, obviously, like all games, but that they did such a great job on release of the first day, and that is why a lot of people believe in them.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, Ryan, you might know a little thing about games being released in a shitty state.
Hey, it must be nice. Must be nice.
Yeah, they also kind of marketed the game like really smartly. Like they used Twitch Rivals, the Twitch-owned esports / tournament platform, to, they had an Apex Legend tournament that features very famous streamers, and they kind of also piggybacked off very famous streamers who were previously playing Fortnite, and they probably paid them an amount to stream Apex Legends for X amount of hours or something. But all these things were obviously very, very successful in helping them launch the game to the crazy amount of players that it has now. So combination of a solid game at release as well as a very solid like marketing strategy around the game, and those two things kind of really struck gold for them. So well done, EA.
Yeah, nicely done, well executed. But maybe they will reach some hurdles or some potholes in the competitive road, in the same way that Slasher is reporting that Fortnite has run into some issues. What are you saying? What are we talking about? The prize pool, the $50 million prize pool.
So the tournament that we talked about last week on the show,
where
they announced there would be like $75 more million to be released this year, and they will have a $30 million tournament. From what I've learned today, and there are other players that have spoken about this the last few days, is that you literally, for the largest prize pool of all time, over $30 million in money, you cannot actually practice for the tournament.
Wait, but how?
There's no practice mode for the game.
There's no practice mode for the fucking game. There is custom games, but they are not turned on right now. Epic has turned them off for a variety of reasons. And
so you used to be able to practice?
They had them on for a limited amount of time. They've only turned custom games on for a short period of time for a specific amount of users, players, and in your language, Ryan, that would be the top tier privilege. Top player
privilege.
So right now, there is a special Discord run by Epic for only those players that qualified into the Winter Royale, which is only 200 people. And only those players have access for a short period of time to get into custom games, which are being test run by Epic. All the other millions of people that Epic is professing this is supposed to be an open and fair tournament, which is how they've been promoting this event where everyone can enter and, anyone can win. It is total bullshit, and not only are only a select amount of few able to practice, but it apparently is laggy. It doesn't work half the time anyway, and that you actually cannot practice for the fucking tournament. And this is one of the major problems for battle royale games in general, is that getting everyone into one server and then being able to use that as practice is really hard. And because these games have made so much money in other ways, their prioritization of getting something like custom games out for their players is not on the top of their list. But if Epic is going to want to have such a big push into esports and give away $100 million, I would think they would put a little bit of effort into allowing players to organize games themselves and be able to practice with each other.
So just to clarify, Rod, you're saying at present, if you have a team of players and you want to scrim or practice against another team, there is actually no way for you to arrange that?
Well, the only way to do it is people have makeshift Discord servers where everyone tells themselves, okay, everyone queue up in 5, 4, 3, 2, and then you hit the button.
Hit queue?
Yeah, and then you all hope to get into the same game.
God.
That is how pro players on pro teams right now are trying to practice for this game.
I mean, here you were, Rod, just last week talking about how amazing Epic was for putting $30 million up like this. But now what you're saying is that there wasn't a whole lot of thought put into the competitive side of things, which leads me to believe that this is kind of like the U.S. military, in that this is the Epic prize pool is this is the marketing and engagement brigade of Epic that's putting this together, not the competitive one. Because my tinfoil hat theory is that they want to keep it to only those 200 players in that Discord because they already have relationships with those players, and they want to make sure that these players have the best chance of maintaining their position as top players because they're easier to control. Yeah, that's my hot take.
Really, what's kind of ironic about this is that Fortnite has released a creative mode, which allows you to really take the game and to create all types of stuff. And there has been a lot of cool shit already created in Fortnite. People have created other famous maps from other FPS games like Dust 2 inside of Fortnite. People have created entire concerts, not like the official Marshmallow thing, but entire musical things. There's been if you see in Minecraft, you see people play music and all types of crazy shit. There have been all types of amazing things created by the community in Fortnite's creative mode, but at the same time, Epic themselves won't get fucking custom servers up, which is like traditionally the most default normal thing that developers do for their players so that they can play in custom games.
Because essentially, there's no training mode.
Yeah, there is. Essentially, there is.
Okay, so is there training mode in Quake?
Yes. Well, there's like free AI. You could play.
You can just create like a game with just you and the AI, and then practice.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can practice the map. You can practice shooting them.
That does exist now in Fortnite with creative. You can go in a random map and just fuck around with people.
But you can only do it by yourself.
Yes, you cannot go.
You can't get your whole squad in there.
No, you can't replicate the actual setting of what it would be in a tournament. That is, you cannot replicate that.
Okay, and so what about Counter-Strike?
Oh yeah, Counter-Strike has all the things.
Yeah, you could do all of that.
There's training mode. You can go in.
Yeah, there's like bots. You can scrim against other teams.
There's actually crazy shit. Yeah, Counter-Strike has all these types of tools. You could do amazing. You could probably do more things in Counter-Strike than in any other game, because of the way that Valve has let this game be open, meaning that developers can create things around the game. They've created really amazing things. Other games like Overwatch are closed systems where Blizzard doesn't allow you to do jack shit with their fucking game, which is why Overwatch has like nothing. Overwatch is better. It at least has custom servers, but Overwatch has a ton of problems itself because Blizzard doesn't allow the community to mess with the game too much.
Yeah, I think having whatever the game's equivalent is of training mode is a really key component in making sure that players have the tools available to practice and compete at the highest level. Without that, then it seems like maybe there isn't an additional layer of strategic complexity, and that is getting your team all together on some random server at the same time when everybody types go into the Discord.
It's like, yeah, like imagine there was no lobby like in Street Fighter V and you wanted to play against like some of the top players, you know, in the area. You just all have to queue at the same time and pray that you're match made against each other. Like,
well, here's the thing. That is only one element of training, you know, in games in general, you know, training with other people versus training yourself first.
Yeah, I mean, like labbing and stuff. Yeah, you can do that in Fortnite probably with the creative mode, but like for them, it's also important to be able to play against other teams and scrim on the actual map that the game is going to be played on.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sucks. Good thing I don't play this game.
It's just crazy to me that like Epic Games were like, yeah, we're going to do esports. Let's do it. Esports, $30 million. Well, don't do it properly though. Like
you got to remember that this industry is so new that it's highly unlikely that a lot of the people that make the decisions at the highest level, either on the developer publisher side or on the esports organization side, never competed.
I mean, it's not that new though. I feel like everyone's been saying esports is the new hot thing, and they've been saying it for like 5 years. You know, like I feel like
what I'm saying is the people making the decisions don't have were never competitors.
Right.
So they don't know what competitors need, which is part of why. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but I mean, just to put it into perspective, right? And this is just anecdotal evidence. I have no idea if this is actually the case, but. For example, Street Fighter V has the best training mode of any of the previous games. I personally think that part of that was because dudes like Combo Fiend and Hans and even Matt D that were at Capcom at the time that did compete long before they worked at Capcom had an influence in making sure that the training mode was dope. Probably also Washige, the Japanese battle director, who was a Guilty Gear pro. He probably had some influence in that too. And so I guess that's what's sort of lacking in a lot of these titles, specifically Fortnite in this instance, is that if the developers didn't compete at the high, you know, if the developers didn't compete, then they don't know what the competitive scene needs. They don't know what tools to make in order to help the competitive scene thrive. Because this whole thing is so young and new. Obviously, that's going to change once this current generation gets old enough.
$30 million later, it'll change.
Well, from what I hear, they might at least be testing it right now, and if they do release it soon, I will take full credit for them making it sooner than later.
Hear that the esports world needs.
No problem.
All right. Moving on, more apparel news. I feel like we should have covered this back to back. Okay.
I don't care about this shit actually at all, but we can.
I think it's interesting, and I put it on there for a reason. So now you're gonna have to talk.
Okay. You lead the Zorine.
Okay. So Hacks, a gaming / esports apparel company, and that's spelled HAX, and it's pronounced Hacks. They're now are already selling their esports apparel at Macy's retail locations. So Macy's, for our international viewers, is like a big department store in the US, and now they're stocking these esports / gaming like shirts and jackets and whatnot. And I think it's cool. I think like it signifies, the esports industry kind of permeating the mainstream more and more, especially now that you can just walk into a Macy's and pick up like a really cool piece of like esports merch if you're so inclined, or if you don't think it's cool, then don't buy it, of course. But like that, to me, this like deal is I think a really big step forward, because distribution of stuff like this, like traditionally, if you are like a fan of a team or esports in general, like you have to go online and buy like a jersey or a shirt or a hoodie or whatever, and it's like super, it feels very niche, whereas this now I think is like opening it up like to a bigger audience, and that to me is cool.
Yeah, I think it's a big step. Looks like they are working with Complexity, and they're starting to sell some of these in Dallas, where Complexity is based. So props to them for getting it done. The Hacks chairman, John Gurman, says, describe the deal as, quote, history in the making for the esports industry.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but...
Well, I think it's an interesting step. I mean, obviously, like you guys already know my position on the way that the stuff looks itself. Although I will say that whatever this young lady is wearing in the article doesn't look anywhere near as bad as most of the other stuff that I've seen. So, oh, okay, yeah, all right, here, let's see what it looks like on the actual Macy's site. That'd be nice.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, hold on, our a little laggy, or we're a little behind with our. I can't. Hold on, let me click on the thing. Is the link in the?
Wow.
Hold on, I can. Oh, okay, there it is. Okay, so.
Wow, it's so weird to see this on like a Macy's.
Yeah, it is like jarring to see this on Macy's.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Okay, so that's interesting. I was thinking more of the. Well, okay, so I think this actually kind of proves my point, right?
What's your point?
Fashion thinks the jerseys are ugly. They're not selling the jerseys. They're selling hoodies, which makes way more sense. And that's something that I could actually see people buying and wearing. So good work, everybody. That's God. Oh, no, I mean it's good.
Yeah, great. Whatever. I think it is cool. The more permeation of mainstream outlets, like last week we talked about Esports Arena being in Walmart, and now we have Hacks having some esports apparel in Macy's. I think it's only like a step forward. I don't actually know how much either will be used. I don't know if people are going to be buying esports apparel at fucking Macy's, and I have no idea if people are going to be using if people are going to be playing video games at fucking Walmart. I'm hoping it seems like there's more likely of a chance of people playing video games at Walmart than there are people going to be buying esports apparel at Macy's. I'm definitely betting on the former than the latter there, but I do think in general it's good for esports that this type of stuff is happening.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably what he meant by history in the making, because now future esports brands will be like, oh, well, here, look, Macy's is carrying hacks, so therefore you should work with us. I'm cautiously optimistic and would encourage anybody out there, if they go to a Macy's sometime in the near future, to check out that
Who's
select.
doing that?
Well, maybe you're about to be proven wrong, Rod. Like, if you are going to Macy's and you find this collection, please take a photo of it and like tweet it at us.
Yes.
Just to prove Slasher wrong.
And then keep an eye on the clearance rack to see what goes or doesn't go on sale when the following season comes around.
I just feel like 0% of people in the chat that we have are going to Macy's to shop. I would be surprised if we had one person that
This
would go.
is like the same sort of argument that I always make about how it doesn't matter anymore if esports is on TV or not because there's nobody watching TV.
Oh, don't say that.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Street Fighter 5's on NBC this Saturday. Thank you, Vi.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it is.
Yeah, it is. Go watch it. Watch. Yeah, I would love to see the Nielsen reports on that, because it's not like it's not not going to be good. It's just that I just don't think that the millennials out there are watching a whole lot of TV, and it's the millennials that are going to be pushing forward esports as they already have been. So it just seems like
and they're not going to fucking Macy's.
I mean, Hot Topic, I would understand.
I mean, one of the most
would be the bigger one.
I'm in New York City, where I think the most famous Macy's is. We have the Macy's Day Parade here every year. The 34th Street Macy's is I think their flagship store in the world. No one's going to fucking Macy's from our community, okay? It's just not happening.
I don't even go to the frickin' mall anymore, dude. I mean, so certainly at every mall that I would go to, you have to walk through Macy's to get to your car. For sure. But I just don't see myself. I mean, I don't know if I've ever bought anything at Macy's, to be honest, but whatever. Obviously, I'm not the target market. I think esports jerseys are ugly, so they're not. Yeah, they're not. Yeah. But it's interesting that that's not what they're selling there. So I feel validated in my thought process. I would love to have been a fly on the wall during that pitch or that discussion. Be like, all right, so they show them all of the generic slides about how esports is reaching 10 billion people worldwide. And then they show them the no, you guys have seen that. I mean,
I know. That's why it's funny.
Yeah, and then the second slide, shows them like the year after year growth of like the prize money and the in-person activities. And they're like, okay, all right, we get it. Esports is big. Everybody on the planet and beyond is watching. But what are we gonna sell clothes-wise? This is the Macy's person. And then they get to the third slide. Third slide, it's like, all right, so we got these new jerseys, and guess what, guys? We got one for women too. So that women, and they're just like, get the fuck out of here. So actually, it probably wasn't even Macy's the first time. They probably got laughed out of JCPenney. They got laughed out of Walmart. They went to Walmart first. They were like, look, you see you guys have been working with Esports Arena. Esports. We got the perfect thing to compliment this. And then Walmart was like, get the fuck out of here. So they revised their pitch, put slide 4 in the place of slide 3. Macy's was on board.
That sounds about right.
That was beautiful.
About right. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was.
Macy's stock dropping like a rock.
Oh, damn. Well, the crazy thing is they actually didn't formally announce this. Like, this was something that, like, Esports Observer, who published the article, kind of dug up. And then they kind of reached out to Hacks for an official statement. So I think that's kind of weird that there was no official announcement made.
That's how little people care.
They're just gonna like slide it in there.
Yeah, weren't even gonna make an announcement. That's how little people give a shit.
Brick and mortar stores it's just not going to keep going the way it is, which is why the stock price has been sliding, because newsflash is super inefficient for actually buying stuff. All right. Anyways, moving on.
Inefficient.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I need to leave the house. You know what I mean? Like, that's.
Can you stop like pandering to gamer stereotypes? Like, you need to.
I'm not even talking about I'm talking about literally myself. It's not a stereotype. I think esports jerseys are ugly. I don't watch TV, and I don't leave the house. And I don't leave the house. I'm not even talking shit about other gamers. I'm literally just pointing out my own preferences.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think Rod and I, Slasher and I, are kind of the same, right? Like those three things. Except I try to leave the house once in a while. But, other than that, I mean,
all right. Well, here's another historic moment.
Oh God.
The first pro Tetris player has been signed. Space Station Gaming has made an addition to the SSG Tetris 99 team. A dude named Wumbo Ties has now become the first pro Tetris player ever.
That's insane. Really?
That's fantastic. I have a sore spot for Tetris. I've always thought it was a great competitive game. I've always played it like as a kid growing up. I always thought it could be like a pretty good esport game if it were to ever like be supported. And there's Tetris 99 has really done a great job for that community. And Tetris is one of those another games that brings people into like such awe from a casual perspective, because they've always known Tetris. They can see insane Tetris play because they know Tetris as a game from their childhood.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about a 20-year history with the Counter-Strike franchise, a 30-year history with Street Fighter, but we've been overlooking the Tetris community for so long. And Wumbo Ties and Space Station Gaming are set to change it. Because really, we can debate all we want about strategy and what's easier to watch, but if there was one game that might be easier to watch than Counter-Strike or even Street Fighter, it might be Tetris.
It might be, honestly.
Put Tetris on TV. Now that's how you get people to give a fuck about esports.
I don't know though. Some of the stuff that happens in Tetris 99, I haven't played Tetris 99, but like watching it, I'm just like, what is going on? Especially in those final moments, like all the things that are like happening like on the side, like the people getting knocked. Like I just can't follow it all closely enough to like really grasp what's happening. I mean, like I appreciate the getting Tetris, like the play there, but like the side stuff, I'm just like, what is all that? What is it?
You don't have a Switch?
No, I do not.
Brad, did you get your Switch?
Nope. No, I have not.
I'm gonna have to be the Tetris 99 expert around here then. Okay. Got it.
I want to get a Switch more for Tetris 99 than Smash.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I am super excited. I mean, I guess I'm not that excited, but props to this dude for making history.
Yeah, I wonder if there's actually going to be a competitive scene for Tetris, like, with money propped up for prizing and stuff. Because as far as I know, the last Tetris, like, global tournament or whatever that was won by that 18-year-old kid or something, like this young kid who kind of dethroned some world champion.
I think I saw that video on Facebook.
He won like $200 or something. Like,
shut up.
Yeah, it was like an abysmal amount of money that was put up for that thing.
Hashtag we made it, guys. FGC is no longer the most poverty community out there. Congratulations, Tetris. It's all you guys.
Which is crazy because that kid, like, he worked so hard and played so much and like played out of his mind, and that video got viewed like over 1 million times, so people were clearly interested, and he won like such a small amount of money for it, which is just like, Oh man, like
That's great. I feel like the past 10 years of my life is totally justified because we all did our part to bring the FGC out of poverty, and there's a new kid in town called Tetris that's even more broke than we were.
All I know is I am down to be a pro Tetris player. I assume both of you have been watching Tafo's streams.
yes. Well, I've seen the highlights. But
so I saw him playing. He looks pretty good. He's a pretty good Tetris player. So I had to. I think I mentioned this to you two last week. I don't know, maybe after the show. But I don't have a Switch, so I can't play Tetris 99. But because I've been watching him play that, I challenge him to a 1v1 in Tetris. Because you can play Tetris online at TetrisFriends.com. And you can play for free online. You can play normal like the same Tetris in a 1v1 setting at this website. So I challenged Tafo to a 1v1.
You're like 1v1 me, bro.
I did. I literally did say 1v1 me, bro, Tetris.
So. And
we actually split 5-5.
No way.
Wait. Sorry. You.
And then he had to go. He had to go after.
Okay.
But it felt like he was getting. But really, honestly, it felt like he was getting scared. Because I've been watching him play Tetris 99 like a lot on stream, and everyone's regarding Topokins as kind of like a Tetris god right now. Like, oh my god, Topo is so fucking good. I'm always seeing his clips on livestream fail. After a few, like he actually won the first like 4 games, and then I started getting into it, and I was fucking shitting on him.
Really?
Shitting on him after a little while, and I'm pretty confident that I would fuck him up.
What?
If we were playing for money or something, huh? I would.
5 first.
It was 4. He hit 5 first. It was 5. 4 is 4-4. Then he hit 5.
I mean, you guys. Here's the thing, Rod. I get that you're good at Tetris. I believe that Tafo is also good at Tetris, but you can't say that the set that you played against him went 5-5 because then it's not a real set. Because a real set.
We weren't playing a set. We were just playing, and then he had to leave.
Then and that's how it ended. This is like a classic case of a top player affording an unknown, a casual set, and then the player, gets a few games on the top player, and then goes out and then brags to the entire internet about how they beat this guy and how this guy sucks. This is the classic case.
I would play a money match and I would win.
That's
okay. I mean, he's like.
I'd play money match and I'd win.
He's like the Smash coach, right?
Yeah.
So he'll probably be at Evo, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he definitely will be.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, you'll probably be at Evo too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll play for money. I'll fucking take his money any day.
How much you want to play?
Tafo, if you're not watching this, which you're not, and if anyone wants to link him this clip, which maybe no one will because we don't have a chat, but anyone who's still in our chat, please show him this. I will fuck you up, Tafo, at Evo 1v1.
No How much you play for? What? First to 5, first to 10?
First, I would say first. Games are quick. Games are like 2 to 3 minutes, or they can be. Games are maximum 5 minutes. It's kind of like fighting games in terms of the time length of a set, or at least Street Fighter, not Smash. Smash is like 8 hours per game. But I would say first to 10. That sounds pretty simple. Yeah.
All right. I mean, so where I come from, Rod, the amount that is wagered. The amount of esports dollars on the line has to be directly proportionate to how many games you're playing. So, for example, if you want to do 2 out of 3, which would simulate, like a tournament match, generally people will play for between 10 and $20. Let's say a first to 5. I think first to 5s are generally like first to 5 for 100. Where I come from. So
that's solid. So and you're from the FGC.
Former poverty, but now Tetris is the new poverty kings.
It's true.
New king of poverty.
First to 10 is like $500.
First to 10.
Is that what you're thinking?
I think first $500 is like minimum, dude. Honestly, first to 10.
Ooh.
No, Rod. Oh, $1,000? Sorry, I was off by $800.
So we're gonna be playing for half as much money as the world champion. Okay. Our money match is gonna be half as much as what the world champion won at the ISC.
All right.
God.
Okay. You heard it here first. Well, I'm looking forward to it, but I
make
think
this happen.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to invest in Switch.
Well, you can't play 1v1 in Tetris BR because it's literally by the name definition Tetris 99. You can only play Battle Royale in that way. You can only play Tetris 1v1 in normal Tetris style.
There's no custom game, you're saying?
You can't play... That was a good one, Zorine. That is a good one. I like that.
Thanks, man. Your praises, as always, very valued.
Of course. Of course.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
First to $5,000 money match, right? Is that what you said?
Yes, that definitely keeps going up. For sure.
Yeah. See, so I mean, if I were Topo, I would be trying to raise the stakes for sure. Lure you in.
He should be careful.
Maybe, yeah.
You heard it here first.
He should be careful because then we'll start getting bets on the games, and then who knows what I do.
Ooh. Right. All right. Well, before we wrap up, one of the things that's always a hot topic of conversation within esports is really how much money could you actually make in esports. And so recently I've discovered a new site that helps you, sort of estimate your total potential, earning potential as an esports player. And so I wanted to share with you guys a site called esportscalculator.com, of which I have to. Oh, there it is. How much would you earn as an esport player?
I like, oh God, they had to capitalize this. Okay, this is already discredited as a website. If they formatted the word esport that way.
What are you talking about? This is esportcalculator.com. What could be a better authority than that? But here,
So I took it. These questions are really dumb, though. This site is awful, but I'm glad you found it.
Well, here's the thing.
Street Fighter's not even an option there.
I had to estimate my esports salary and I'm just gonna leave this as default because I don't know my kill death rate.
Yeah, I don't know my kill death ratio.
Probably because I don't play any of those games. But let's say we're streaming on Twitch. How many subscribers do you currently have? Well, there's more than 0, but there's less than 40. So we'll just keep it at that.
Okay.
Like you saying I almost have more subs than you? Jesus Christ.
13,000 euro. Oh wait.
What's that in USD?
Wait, sorry. That's 13. Oh, that can't be right.
You were so eager to show us this tool, and now you're saying it's not right, Ryan. What do you mean? Is it too high? I mean, as far as yearly income goes, that's hardly livable here. So
here's the thing: I couldn't get the sub count low enough. But if you remove, but I guess whatever. There's potential here. 13,000 euros per year. I could probably score a whopping 74 euros per month from my favorite esports team, including sponsorships. And don't forget the 99 euros that I could potentially earn from my monthly prize money earnings as I guess apparently a decently skilled FPS player. So a lot of potential.
13,000 euros is about $15,000 US dollars.
The future is bright.
Dear God.
Anyways, I just thought that was funny. Before we wrap up, maybe there are some interesting
The chat.
contributions from the chat. Anybody have
Yeah.
any last words? We should probably integrate like something at the end where we talk about what's going on this week.
Yeah, I agree.
We can't just spring that on me now. Jesus.
No, I'm
Well, as you
talk about the
mentioned,
next time.
Street Fighter will be on NBC this weekend.
Okay.
That's
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So tune into your local NBC affiliate to watch the Level Up Wednesday Night Fights Esports Arena collaboration and watch NorCal versus SoCal 5v5 coming to you live after Saturday Night Live. Here's how you'll know if we actually #made it is if Saturday Night Live makes some sort of esports skit or joke night.
So is it going to actually be played live, like from 11 p.m. or midnight or wherever it was, whatever time it was?
Seemed like it.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
I don't think that's something that's going to be like pre-taped. I think that would take way more. That'd be way more resource intensive.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, it's not like we're not used to tournaments running late anyway, so.
Exactly. I think that's why they picked fighting games. It's like, all right, here's some stuff we know is going to run late into the night.
Yeah.
Oh wait, somebody's talking about the World Cyber Games 2019. Wait, WCG is back?
Yeah.
Samsung reanimates the dead?
Wait, Ryan, have you not seen this? Hold on one second.
How come we didn't talk about this then? This is a big
I don't know,
deal.
maybe because nobody added it to the doc.
Okay.
It's such a big deal. Nobody mentioned it.
Ryan.
Number one esports consultant. Hello.
Here we go. Offcast. You can you could bring this up for everyone. This is an official song made for the new WCG.
Beyond the Game, Steve Aoki remix.
Officially from Steve Aoki.
Well, the remix is from Steve Aoki.
Yeah. But he did it as an official partnership with WCG for the return of the World Cyber Games. So fuck yeah, it's back, Ryan. It's fucking back.
Well, I mean, now that Steve Aoki is remixing their official theme, I mean, I'm on board now.
I mean, honestly, is there a better... Did you need another reason to be on board? This would be the main reason you would be here.
You're right.
It.
Yes, it's a good thing too.
Listen to the song, Ryan, while we talk.
Really?
Please play the song for all the fans. I think we should end the show with the.
No, we'll get a copyright strike or something. I don't know. That portion of the archive will be muted.
Dude,
okay.
only 10,000 people listen to this fucking thing. They probably would thank us if people would get us.
Wow. So World Cyber Games are back, huh?
Okay.
That's a thing.
I have to pause it because I have to read you the description on the YouTube video. This song is official theme song remixed by Steve Aoki for world's most successful esports tournament named WCG World Cyber Games. The WCG theme song. Interesting. One of the games that is featured in the World Cyber Games is not even out.
The game's not released.
Well, here's the thing.
But I mean, neither is Samurai Showdown, so who fucking cares at this point, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
WCG.
I mean, it depends on what kind of game it is as well. If it's like a completely new IP, then they'd be like, wait, what? Like, if it's a sequel to something, then I guess that's a little bit more expected.
Beyond the Game is originally a rock genre song with an addictive refrain that all WCG fans hum. This is definitely written by somebody from China. Steve Aoki reinterpreted the theme song and reenacted it as an EDM, with a more modern twist. And then there's the lyrics.
There's
okay,
lyrics? Dude,
oh yeah. Oh, here it is. Oh, okay. I can't, guys. We need to.
I've been listening to the song since you guys mentioned it. I'm just rocking out right now. Yeah.
Slash is loving it. I'm I'm not. Oh my god. I'm not even gonna click.
Oh my god.
I'm so glad it's back.
Well, I mean,
if we can get
Wait,
Justin
so
Wong
when's it
trying to drive a
starting?
car again too, I mean, that would be fucking great. Can we just bring it all back?
Oh wow, it's
Okay.
in July.
I
Okay.
mean, here's the thing. WCG is something that I am only familiar with the lore of, just secondhand from you esports
dude.
veterans. I was not around or paying attention to all that stuff. Why
You
was
watch Justin Wong try to drive a car though.
okay? So what you're saying
Were.
is that the big takeaway of WCG,
Kind
the
of.
World Cyber Games, which was marketed as the Olympics of gaming. What you're saying is that I don't need to know about any of that. All I need to know was the WCG Ultimate Gamer reality show that Justin Wong was on.
Unfortunately, yeah, the legacy of WCG went from like the most prestigious esports tournament in the world to more notably the fucking WCG Ultimate Gamer reality show. And now the theme song. That has kind of been the timeline of like the relevancy of this tournament. And now this is here we are now. I mean, at one point, even in 2011, there is a video of WCG in China that has more people there than I've even still seen at events today here. I'll even
So what you're saying is that it was a really big deal in China.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, WCG was a big deal in most places, but I mean...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why do you think that it didn't survive, and why do you think they're bringing it back now?
It was the same problem with the ESWC, which was the other tournament, which is pretty similar to this, and where it was based on nations. Because WCG, the appeal of WCG is different than traditional esports, was that it was based all on countries. So everyone
like
on the
Olympics
team,
of gaming.
yeah, everyone on the team has to be from that country. The problem is just that other tournaments ended up surpassing WCG and ESWC in terms of the tournament format and the way that how much prize money they gave away. So the prestigiousness of WCG got less. Then you had developers come in and they have their own tournaments. And now like Overwatch hosts its own World Cup at BlizzCon. And so, and because League of Legends is their own thing by Riot, there's not as much opportunity for WCG and other independent organizers to do events like this unless they have really the backing from all of these games. That's why you see like these weird games in WCG. Not only are they getting paid to run them by the developers, but there's also less opportunities to run like the big games because Blizzard and Riot won't let that happen in the same style.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that the world changed and WCG didn't.
Yes.
But now, and wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't WCG essentially like you're saying it was like an independent thing, but I mean, they were sponsored primarily by Samsung.
It's always been a Samsung thing. It's always been owned, well, not now, but it was always previously owned by Samsung. It was a big marketing vehicle for Samsung.
Wait. I'm sorry. Esports. I think I heard you say esports and marketing vehicle in the same sentence.
No.
Sorry. Could you say that again?
What I said was that esports is always only authentic, and it is never for the money. It is only for the love of the game. Yada yada yada. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, I mean, there were a bunch of things that led to the demise of WCG. I think like it was mismanaged at the end, and there was like a whole bunch of other like some of the games that they included they clearly didn't understand. Similar to kind of what's happening with like other games like Nintendo and Smash Brothers right now. But like they just kind of like eventually just like ran themselves continuously about one bad decision after another, just like ran this whole thing into the ground.
Why do you guys think it's coming back now?
because esports is now this cool new thing that's filling up stadiums and is like making so much money and there's billions of dollars and like such a great demographic. Duh. We just talked about this.
That's right. And don't forget the authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity. Very important.
Authentic.
You keep repeating that word over and over, and it makes it more real each time you say it.
That's how
makes
you
it
get
more authentic.
That's how you get sponsorships. That's how you get your shit into Macy's. That's how you get your shit into to Walmart. It's just, like the 5th page of the esports deck is the authenticity. All right.
Oh my god.
Well, I it's funny now that I think about it. I actually did go to a WCG qualifier the first time I went to New York. Actually.
Oh, for Street Fighter.
For Street Fighter, yeah. And it was at like a
how did that go?
Store.
Yeah, how was it?
I mean, okay, look, obviously, like this was 10 years ago. A lot has happened. My memory is somewhat hazy. It was either it was either at like a, I want to say it was like a Microsoft store because I don't think that there was Samsung's. Is there an actual Samsung store? Okay,
it was at the Samsung store in Columbus Circle.
Okay.
That's where we hung out.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Then that's where it was, and I think everybody was complaining about the laggy Samsung TVs.
Figures.
Yeah, and that's about the extent of my recollection. But I guess I was, I was part of the WCG legacy, the history even.
They came to Australia too. They had a very, very poorly run Tekken event, and they got 2 commentators who had no idea about Tekken, but boy, did they love video games. And the whole thing was just really poorly run. Every Tekken player in the community complained about it, and it was just, incredible.
I'm looking at their YouTube channel now, and it looks like they were active up until 2013. Or sorry, up until 2 weeks ago. They were active until there's even Street Fighter stuff from 2013. 2013. Wow.
Well, they've changed ownership hands and whatever. Whatever. I just care about the fucking theme song now.
You mean our new theme song? Okay. All right. Well, this was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We covered all the stuff, all the authenticity that we can for this week.
We did.
So thank you, everybody who has spent some time with us tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Zorine and Slasher. Zorine first. Where do people go for more Zorine?
Hang on. You can follow me on Twitter at Zorine.
What the fuck? I don't get it.
At ZORINE. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube. Team Zorine. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Zorine, are you getting your ideas from Travis? Because this is terrible. I just wanted to tell you.
For a moment there, I was scared that you were gonna say because he did this on his live stream last week, and I was gonna be oh god.
No.
Awful.
But this is something that he would do because it is so goddamn bad of the way that you did it. I just wanted to let you know as the show ended.
No, this is my idea, man. This is me. 100% me.
That is not a good sign, Zorine. Just wanted to give you that heads up. But this
is
definitely
YouTube too much.
There you go.
Don't. First off, I got nothing to do with this.
I mean, honestly, she could be biting up your style, Ryan. No, when I think of dudes in esports that have worn shades in big moments, you're the first person that comes into my head. Your face with shades on and the jacket is literally burned into my fucking brain now. So, PogChamps in the chat for the shades.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Team Zorine. Follow me on Twitter too. Actually, I need more clout there apparently to do things. So.
Yeah, do you want to say why?
Wait. Why? What happened? Wait.
I can't talk about it, but
What do you mean you can't talk about it?
I don't want to talk about it.
Why don't you want to talk about it, Zorine? They already told you no.
Yeah, but it's important to. Anyway, I'm working on it. Don't worry.
I think the most important thing is all of you fucking assholes out there, please follow Zorine.
Oh, thanks, man. Follow Slasher too. Where can they find you, Slasher?
Follow me at Slasher. I will be doing an interview tomorrow on Al Jazeera Television to talk about Fortnite and Battle Royale and esports and how we love guns and killing people. I'm sure that'll be a very positive discussion with absolutely no potential problems.
Well, I think they'll also, you can back up your argument with the facts-based evidence of the marketing and engagement brigade of the U.S. Army, wanting to get involved in esports as much as possible. So, I mean, you're just relaying the message. Other countries, watch out.
You're right.
U.S. military coming for your esports, your military's esports team. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's so fucking stupid, right? Like, here's best case scenario. U.S. military trains their esports team, and then that goes up against Russia's esports team in the, they play one game of whatever, CSGO, one game of Tekken, and one game of Tetris to, settle the score. And that is the only productive way in which esports and the military can be combined. Settle all disputes in that regard, and then I'll be on board. But the irony, of course, I mean, God, it'd be awesome to see the military. Okay, there's something I would watch. U.S. military versus Russian military in Counter-Strike. And that's how you can get me to watch Counter-Strike.
I was actually just watching competitive airsoft on YouTube last night, and I was watching France versus Russia. That shit is actually crazy because it's like actually ex-military people who are playing, who want to kind of play in a game type of format. If you're interested, look up competitive airsoft on YouTube.
No, there's a map.
Really cool.
Yeah. I think I would start playing airsoft competitively just so I could talk shit about all the people playing FPS games. All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more about what's going on in the wide world of authentic esports. My name is gootecks. You can follow me on the Instagrams and Twitters at gootecks. Hit the like button, the follow button, subscribe button, whatever, to get notified when we go live. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks, of course, to Lewis from XSplit for holding it down on production. We will be back again, same bad time, same bad channel next week. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.